be taking a look at the obituary of the late Terra Lekota. Mouisoa Gerald Lekota was born on the 13th of August 1948 in Kroonstad in the Free State. He went on to study at St. Francis College in Marion Hill in Durban, and the alumni of this institution includes Steve Biko. In 1971, he enrolled at the University of the North, which is now known as University of Limpopo, and he enrolled for social sciences, and this is where he got deeply involved in politics. He was involved with the South African Students Organization, which is a Black consciousness-aligned movement founded by Steve Biko. In 1972, he was expelled for his activism, but this only actually deepened his resolve, and in 1974, he became elected as a permanent organizer of the South African Students Organization. In that very same year, he was among a group of South African Students Organization and Black People's Convention leaders that were arrested for organizing pro-Frelimo rallies for celebrating Mozambique's independence. Among some of the people that were arrested was Cyril Ramaphosa, and this actually set the stage decades later for one of the most explosive parliamentary confrontations in South Africa.
It did not take very long, 2 years or so, because that was around 72. In about 1974, we went into detention, among others. And in the course of that, we had to respond to this challenge. And I want to say to you, you invited me last week. We had to respond to that challenge. Your invitation last week was late. The challenge we had to respond to was that time. And you, with us in detention, when it was difficult, you wrote to the special branch that we put communist ideas in your head. In doing so, you condemned us to the special branch. And I say, no, I say this to you. I say this to you.
Order.
Because the special branch rewarded you as they always reward their victims. And they sent you home. And we headed to Robben Island.
In the trial, Lekota was found guilty under the Terrorism Act, and he was sentenced to 6 years on Robben Island. In a quiet act of defiance, he married Cynthia Gende at Pretoria Central Prison on the 17th of April in 1975, just before his sentence was delivered. When he arrived at Robben Island, Nelson Mandela sent him a handwritten note of welcome, and he had signed it. Outside of Nelson Mandela, he was surrounded by the likes of Ahmed Kathrada, Andrew Mlangeni, and Walter Sisulu, and when he came in, he abandoned the Black consciousness framework and he adopted the ANC's philosophy of non-racialism. Lekota was then released at the end of 1982. 8 months after his release, on the 20th of August in 1983, he attended the launch of the United Democratic Front in Mitchells Plain in Cape Town. This was a mass democratic movement that united hundreds of civic, church, students, and trade union organizations that were against apartheid. He became elected as its national publicity secretary. The mission of the UDF was quite clear, and it was to push boycotts and sanctions and to make Botha's apartheid ungovernable. The apartheid state came for him again, and in April of 1985, him and other UDF leaders were arrested for high treason. The Delmas treason trial was one of the longest and most important political trials in South African history, and it ran from 1985 to 1988. 11 of the 22 accused were convicted, and Lekota was sentenced to 12 years. He was actually denied bail throughout, and some of his co-defendants included Tom Mantad. Lekota had George Bezos as his lawyer, and he appealed from behind bars. The Supreme Court of Appeal acquitted him. In 1989, after 4.5 years of being in custody, he walked free again. With the ANC unbanned and Mandela freed in 1990, Lekota rose rapidly. He became ANC's convener for Southern Natal, and then in 1991 he was elected to the ANC's National Executive Committee and the National Working Committee, and he served as Chief of Intelligence. He also became Secretary of the ANC Election Commission, which also meant that he was one of the people to organize the historic 1994 elections. After South Africa's first fully democratic elections, Lekota was elected as the Premier of Free State, where he grew up poor and black under the apartheid regime. He served from 1994 to 1998. It was during this period that a factional battle began with Ace Magashule, who later became the Premier under Zuma. The ANC-NEC removed Lekota from his position of being a premier after he exercised his constitutional right to fire the MEC without consulting him. From 1997 to 1999, he served as the inaugural chairperson for the National Council of Provinces. In 1997, he was elected as the national chairperson of the ANC, and he held this position for a decade up until 2007, when he was succeeded by Baleka Mbete. From June 1999, he was appointed as the Minister of Defense under President Thabo Mbeki. On the 13th of February 2019, during a SONA debate, Terror delivered one of the most dramatic moments in post-apartheid parliamentary history. As President Cyril Ramaphosa briefly stepped out of the chamber, Lekota refused to go to the podium, and he insisted that the president return to his seat first. When Ramaphosa finally settled in, Lekota looked at him directly and delivered his charge. The charge went back to 1974 when both of them were arrested, and Lekota was alleging that Ramaphosa wrote letters to the apartheid special branch identifying him and his comrades as communists. This then enabled the state to build its terrorism case. Ramaphosa was released and Lekota was sent to Robben Island.
I thank you. I'm grateful you are a billionaire. Keep the billionaires and thank you for them. But we are not going to be part with you. I'm not joining that trade.
Thank you, sir.
If you are interested to hear,
your time has expired.
Come to our launch. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
When he was done, opposition MPs rose in standing ovation. Ramaphosa sat expressionless throughout, and he responded the next day denying the allegations. When Thabo Mbeki was recalled as the President of the Republic on September of 2008, Lekota was one of the 10 cabinet members who resigned. On October 2008, he announced that the Mbeki faction would serve divorce papers on the ANC. This was the first mass split from the party since the Pan-Africanist Congress broke away in 1959. On the 16th of December 2008, Lekota was elected founding president of COPE, and he was running unopposed. Many people who lost faith in the ANC finally had somewhere else to go. However, COPE imploded internally. There were clashes between Lekota and deputy leader Bazima Shilowa over presidential candidacy. Shilowa elevated Mvume Dandala over Lekota for the 2009 ballot. Support fell to 0.67% in 2014 and 0.27% in 2019 as the EFF absorbed much of the votes. By 2024, COPE was gone from parliament, but Terror did not waver. He was asked multiple times if he could go back to the ANC, but his answer did not change because he said that there is no way he could go back to the company of the men and women who are dead set on destroying the democracy that he spent years trying to build. He said that he would go to the grave as a member of the Congress of the People. And we can clearly see that he kept that promise. When we look at the man behind the politician, Lekota wrote and published prison letters to a daughter, which he wrote to his eldest daughter, Masichaba, during the time he was behind bars. This was an intimate correspondence between a father who was fighting for freedom and a daughter who was growing up in his absence. In 1996, unfortunately, Masichaba was found deceased on the campus at the university that she was studying. He was also a contributor to 30 Years of the Freedom Charter, a book that was published when he was in prison. In August 2025, Cope announced that Lekota was stepping back from any political duties to focus on his health as he was battling cancer. In the early hours of this morning, Lekota passed away at a Johannesburg hospital. He was surrounded by family and he was 77 years old. May his soul rest in eternal peace. He will be forever remembered for his fighting spirit.